Hey everybody, happy Monday. Thanks for starting your week with us here on Northern Life. Do you happen to know the date? If you don't, pull out your phone, check your calendar. If you got a physical calendar, also great. It is April 15th. 2 words for you. Tax deadline. 2 more words for you. Hunter McCullough. How about another 2? Tax expert. Shania, play the clip.
April 15th is fast approaching, and that means it's tax season again. April 15th is fast approaching, and that means it's tax season again. April 15th is fast approaching, and that means it's tax season again. April 15th is fast approaching, and that means it's tax season again.
Lo and behold, it's not actually the 15th. I've been informed. You know, we record back on Friday, and I forgot to figure out what date it is. Well, it's tomorrow's the tax day, but instead we're going to show you that wonderful tax clip of Hunter. So if you haven't filled out your federal...
You know what? It's best that we do tell people today is tax day because then they'll hurry up and get it done before actual tax day.
So pretend it's the 15th today.
Wow, some hard-hitting news. Yeah. Look at me with the microphone in people's faces, getting the answers.
I love you were dialed in on that girl listening as she was answering.
Yeah, listening with intent. That's what you got to do in this whole... I can teach you a couple things about journalism here, folks.
I can't teach you anything about looking at a calendar. It's the 14th today.
I will say that the tax expert officially filed for his tax.
Nice.
We're all good. We're legal, not getting hauled away to a federal prison. So we're all good. Life is good.
Glad to hear it.
No felonies for this guy.
Be sure to follow in Hunter's footsteps today as you get ready for the official tax day, which I believe is tomorrow.
Good times.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday to everybody out there. File your taxes right away. Coming up on today's show, a wonderful morning spent at Jay Cook State Park. I met up with Ryan Tisher from Duluth's Tisher Gallery, and he's showing me how to capture the best photo as I get a chance to go behind the camera, get a little experience on what Shania and Keith do every single day with their jobs. So pretty darn cool.
Tax expert and future photographer, Hunter McCullough.
Amazing, a well-rounded man.
Yes, I got a lot of feathers in my cap, as they say. Until then, Ryan, it sounds like you're adding to your adventures in babysitting. Is that true?
I am. I got to babysit our friend.
The journalist here, is that true?
Ryan?
Get the microphone out. Also, for Hunter's clip, too, before we show these photos, it was funny that your St. Cloud State Library says, "Welcome to the library." It's like, if you said library on the outside, I probably would have known.
It is a library.
Never
That's
mind.
true.
Never mind.
Come on in.
Go dogs. Go dogs. But yes, I did babysit. We babysit our friend kid the other evening. His name's Max. He's just a little sweetie.
Nice.
But I gotta give a shout out to all the parents out there. You know, I watched this kid for like 2 hours with my girlfriend before he went to bed. Ate pizza for the other 2 hours. And but I gotta say, you know, we tried putting him to bed, and like that toddler, he's about like 17-ish months. He looked like he was ready for bed, so we're like, all right, dude, go to bed. And then he's like wiggling around a whole lot, and I'm like, is he okay? And then my girlfriend's like, he's a toddler, it takes time for him to fall asleep. So, it takes a lot of patience to, I'm not a parent, but for the parents out there, it seems like it takes a lot of patience.
Oh yeah, it is. It's tough, especially when you're right. They look like they want to go to sleep, and then you stand up to go bring them into like their bassinet or their crib, and then all of a sudden their eyes just shoot open. They're like, oh, I'm wide awake. I'm ready to party or something.
And then you're like, what do you want? He's like wiggling around. I'm like, can I help you? I need to help you. What do you want? But
Adam Borch comes in every single day with a new story about Adam. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just insane. But obviously the kids are just the best. But girlfriend, bun in the oven, perhaps, Ryan, anytime soon?
Jeepers creepers.
You gonna have one of your own Sunday days?
We do not do any baking at the house.
Hard questions from Hunter.
I'm trying to get down.
His journalism,
I'm trying to get down to the bottom of things, you know? You gotta, when you're a reporter,
you don't see me tomorrow, I'm taking PTO.
Hunter has scarred Ryan forever.
Hunter's going to be in the HR office.
You're working on that kid.
Briggs, what's the next story all about here on Northern Life?
For the kids getting close to graduating high school here in the Northland, standardized testing is often a big hurdle that students have to face.
It certainly is. All the kids out there.
But there's some stakes on the table for a few high school students in Illinois. With the ACT coming up next week, the school district superintendent is taking the math section of the test, and he's doing it without a calculator. Okay, yeah, this is impressive. And if any of the students score higher than him, he plans to take them out to lunch. After doing the challenge 4 times over the years, Superintendent PJ Capuzzi says he has only lost to 3 students.
That's not bad.
That's impressive.
Not bad.
I would require a calculator for the most basic of math.
I can't even remember if we used a calculator. I think we did. We had
with the
have
ACT?
the big graphing calculator maybe for the ACT.
So. Yeah. I don't remember much from the ACT. I think I tried to block that part out of my mind.
I'm also trying to block out Hunter's recent comments.
Previous comments do not reflect the.
Yeah, get the disclaimer. on the
Yes,
bottom.
I had to retake I didn't have to. I chose to retake the ACT 3 times. I did it 3
They
times.
reached back out and they were like, this man needs to retake
Turn
this.
around, go right back in there, Hunter, and just take it again. There's no reason. But math was always my best. I always had the best math score, but then everything else I just kind of suffered a little bit in. But math was always,
Suffered.
I was always pretty good at math, and I had to retake it
Well,
3
that's
times.
good because you know it's important in your meteorology.
Yes!
So I'm glad you were good at math.
Exactly.
I want to make sure you do your best out there, kids.
Do you use a calculator much in your forecasting? Or
What's funny is we had to go through Calculus 3 for which is a ton of math for our broadcast meteorology degree. Once you're out of school as a broadcast meteorologist, you really don't have to do much math. So I haven't really had to use a graphing calculator or anything like that, thankfully.
Yeah.
But it is required if you want to become a meteorologist.
Gotcha. So don't gift any meteorologists out there a calculator for Christmas.
Yes,
They're not
unless
gonna
they work
use
for
it.
the National Weather Service.
There you go.
There we go. Hey, it's always fun taking the trip to little Chicago. And now, for Harry Potter fans out there, the Wizardry has landed in the Windy City. Excited fans waited in line for hours on Chicago's famed Michigan Avenue last week. The store comes on the heels of the success they've seen in London and New York City, and officials say the store in Chicago was an absolute must. It is more than 12,000 square feet, featuring themed areas from the Potter series. You got apparel, a confectionery, and even a room of wands section.
Oh, that's so cool. I always wanted to, pretend that I was in Harry Potter
Yeah.
when I was younger.
Yeah.
Expelliarmus for you. Coming up after the break, Hunter. He's going to be a photographer. We'll see you next here on Northern Light.
Welcome back. Join me today on a trip to Jay Cook State Park, learning how to get the perfect photo with Ryan Tischer.
Spectrum of photography and different things that people photograph.
Yeah.
Is it pretty challenging?
Yeah. The success rate is really low. You have to go out, like for me, I would say if I go out 20 times, I'll get one really good image. And that's working pretty hard. But you have to be at the right place at the right time. So the hard thing about, nature and landscape photography is that you're completely at the mercy of Mother Nature. There's something about going out and making a really interesting image and just kind of pulling that beauty from nature into your own vision. So what I'm doing right now is I'm putting a neutral density filter on the front of the lens, and what that's going to do is make everything darker. It's going to reduce the amount of light going to the image sensor, and so that'll allow me to do longer exposures, which will allow the water to become soft. So now I can get a longer exposure. So I have my ISO all the way down to 100, and I have the shutter speed at 1 second and f13. So that'll give me a really sharp image without a lot of diffraction.
Okay. Keith looks good in it too. Look
Yeah,
at that.
Look at that. Just what I want in my images, people. A little longer exposure, and I don't have to worry about blowing out my highlights as much. Kind of in mid-ground, make sure I'm focused, so that I'll have both the bridge in the background and the infinity and the foreground all in focus.
So once you snap a photo, do you know right away if it's amazing or not, or do you have to go back and analyze it?
I have a good feeling sometimes, but I'm not always right, and I don't know if it's even worth pulling up on the computer and looking at it, and then it turns out to be really good. And other times I'm super excited, I think I have something great, bring it back to the studio, take a look at it, and I can do better.
Or maybe favorite photo that you captured?
I have one, I would say it's my favorite. I took it on Stony Point, and it was just, to me, it was like the perfect image. It had the sea smoke in it and the sunlight just kind of filtering through so you get this golden light. But there's also the sea smoke was creating all this frost on the grass and on the trees along the shoreline, and there was ice, but there was still water. It was, all the elements just worked out perfectly.
Walk us through what you're thinking right now, like when you're looking at these different areas, and you're like, that's going to be a really cool photo.
A lot of times I'll scout a location beforehand so that I know what the heck I'm stepping into when I get there and it's still dark out, so I'll kind of have an idea how I'm going to set the camera up to kind of look at, where's the sun coming up. So if we get some really nice light hitting the clouds, that'll fill up that sky, and it'll also reflect in the water creates a nice color in the water, and even sometimes the rocks and the trees will turn color too.
I don't know where photographers stand on like post editing or anything like that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. Any photographer that tells you that they're not editing their images in post is either a bad photographer or a liar. You have to. It's a part of the process because a camera is never going to capture the scene the same way that we see it with our eyes. So I make adjustments to the image afterwards in post to get it to look closer to the way I felt when I took the image.
What do you like so much about capturing a sunrise or a sunset?
It's just kind of that magical moment. It's about the light, it's about the elements, what's happening in the composition, and just having it all come together to make a, like I like to call it, a magical image. You know, it's something otherworldly that we don't necessarily get to see very often. The business's motto is take a piece of the North Shore home. And so that's kind of works in more than one way. You're taking a memory home, but you're also taking something home physical that you can put on your wall too.
Well, would you ever let me try to maybe guide me to like get like something along over there or something like
Yeah,
that?
what are you thinking? What do you want to shoot?
Well, maybe a little rapids action.
All right, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to swap out the lens then, because this is a wide angle. Whoop, don't do that. I'm sure that'll go in the feature. You got that one.
I like seeing the snow and the rapids running through the snow. So I don't know if there's a way to like capture this whole thing.
This is your aperture right here, this little dial.
Okay.
Right there, that's your aperture, ISO.
Okay.
And then this one is your shutter speed.
So now,
So now...
what does any of that mean?
So,
Sorry.
no, this is good.
This is all we're, yeah.
I'm able to teach you.
Yes,
you know?
yes.
So for your shutter speed, you probably want it like at least a half second to a second.
Okay.
Dial that off 1
1
second.
second.
There you
Okay.
go. Now, see how the whites are really white? That
Yep.
means there's no detail in them. That's called blown out. So we need to bring that exposure down.
Okay.
So we already brought the ISO as low as it'll go, or we need to stop down the aperture to a smaller, to let less light in.
Sure.
And that's your aperture, and that's there. The higher the number, the smaller the aperture.
Okay.
That's your histogram, and that's telling you where all of the exposure, there's a spike over here.
Yep.
And that means that we're still losing our highlights.
Is that better then?
It's better, but a little more. There we go.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's
There
so
you go.
cool.
You got some nice soft water.
Well, that's beautiful. Obviously, it's very complicated, but just the way you walked me through it, it's not as complicated as I might have thought initially.
Welcome back, folks. Of course, we want to give another huge thanks to Ryan Tischer for letting us tag along. It was so cool. My gosh, if you want to get in touch with him or check out his gallery, you can find him in person down here in Canal Park. Otherwise, he has his art posted on his website at ryantischerphoto.com. Yeah, it was just an incredible experience. So much thought goes into it.
Yeah.
It's accessible to everybody, but you really honestly have to know what you're doing to get into the sort of thing and capture a really good
So
photo.
true. You think that you can just, show up to a place, maybe pull out your phone and, take a picture of that caliber, but as you said, and as we saw, a lot goes into it.
Yeah.
A lot goes into setting up the camera and then the editing process too. I mean, you had a great photo, but you
Yes.
make those special touches at the end is quite remarkable.
Whole nother option with that whole thing. But full circle, at the very end of the day, I went to go pick up my girlfriend. I call her Kayla. She at her office, and in her office, there's 3 photos of Ryan Tischer's
Really?
in her dental office. I'm like,
Oh.
I know all those photos. That's
Just
so
met
cool.
that guy today. Yeah,
No
how
big
cool.
deal. I know
Yeah.
this guy.
You're like, I kind of took these in a way.
I'm his partner. So, I'll take some of the income, please.
Associate photographer Hunter.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, big shout out to Ryan. Thanks for letting us tag along. Hey, we hope you've been having a great start to the week. Maybe you remember it's the 14th. Maybe you got up early and hit the gym and got a lift in at your local Y. But sadly, even if you're a deer, you'll still need a membership to enter your local YMCA. The YMCA of Greater Louisville in Kentucky said they had a curious deer wander into one of its downtown locations, and police helped escort that 4-legged trespasser out of the building.
Oh,
maybe just
poor
wanted to
buddy.
take a class. I don't know, a little racquetball?
Yeah.
Fencing, maybe?
Hey, it's one of the reasons why deer meat is the leanest meat. It's always working out.
It's always apparently not here though.
No.
He's like, get out of here.
Not welcome in downtown Louisville.
I'm just imagining if he were to like get to the track or something and start like
Oh,
sprinting
yeah?
around, and yeah, that could be.
Start hooping on the
Yeah,
basketball
that'd be
court.
kind of cool. Yeah, taking a little cycle class on a bike, a little
pool?
deer on a bike. Yeah.
How's he just cool with all these humans? It's just casually being ushered out of this
Yeah.
thing. They're not running.
I
That's
feel like
crazy.
the employees there missed a sales opportunity. Didn't even try to sell them on a
Right.
package.
Yes.
Yeah.
In Wisconsin, there's a firefighter who trains a little different than most people do. Dylan West from Wisconsin Rapids is not only a great community servant, but he's also a professional power lifter. He trains for months in advance of his competitions. Dylan adds that it's a great way to release any pent-up stress from his sometimes traumatic calls on the job. Yeah, I think that could be, a really good thing for firefighters to do, because yes, it's definitely a good stress relief to, just work out in general. But when
Yeah.
you're able to like drop the weight and like hear the sound, it just it's very fulfilling.
When you're
Yeah.
when you're in your CrossFit classes, Briggs,
Yeah.
are there any memories you try to conjure up in order to accomplish such a heavy lift? I know
that's a good
sometimes I'm like I call myself back to like middle school and I'm like, this bully, you're going down.
Yeah.
And I finish like my 20-pound dumbbells that
Yeah.
I have. But
just the bar.
I got this. Yeah.
I think, after, obviously our jobs are way different than a firefighter. They have a very stressful job.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes we have a stressful job just in the sense of meeting deadlines.
Yeah,
a lot.
deadlines
So
are tougher,
sometimes,
yep.
it's just nice to go and, take all that in your mind and kind of use it as fuel, I guess, to get through the workout.
Yeah.
I like
Except usually I go in the morning, and so I don't have any fuel yet.
Yeah.
All my fuel comes later in the day, and then I
Yep.
want to go at night.
You got stress ahead of you.
Yeah.
Hey, quickly down in Iowa, a towering symbol of a small town is coming back. Strawberry Point, Iowa, great name. Their iconic strawberry sculpture set to make a return after its restoration. It left about, it's been 27 years of damage, and the city administrator says they're happy to have the 15-foot sculpture back to make tourists happy.
Huh. Looks like that spinny thing they have at carnivals.
Very fun.
I'll be right back after the break. Welcome back, everybody. When we see you back here tomorrow on Northern Life, Hunter puts me and Ryan head-to-head in an Easter egg hunt showdown. We're going to scour the station to find a carton of eggs, and after, we're going to take the time to make them beautiful before Easter, too. So we found them, and they were just the white. Hunter had already hard-boiled them for us, so thank you, Hunter.
I'm still eating them currently in my fridge. They're very tasty.
I'm glad you put them in
Yeah.
your fridge because, 6
Yeah.
hours after we did the shoot, I go, Hunter, did you put them in the fridge? He goes, no, I didn't.
Oh, my gosh.
No, you had to do that. Well, they come out of the chicken and they're just fine, sitting there. They're all warm. I don't know.
They go through a process, right?
Yeah, I
After-
think so. Like pasture, I don't know.
Pasteurized eggs or
Yeah,
something?
I'm
We
not
got to
sure.
go to the chicken farm again.
Yeah.
Before we go today, the longest painting in North America is back on display in Minnesota after restoration. The moving painting was essentially like going to the movies for people in the 1800s. So down in Winona, Minnesota, the piece is about 1,200 feet long and 8 feet tall, stretching farther than the Eiffel Tower stands high. Wow. Back then, people paid about $12 to watch all of this sweet action, as you can see on your screen here. The Grand Panorama will be on display until next March at the Minnesota Marine Art Museum.
So cool. I'm glad I don't live in that time, though.
Oh,
That seems boring now that we have cell phones and all that stuff.
glad we got Hulu.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us today. We love you.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Find some time to throw a line or just head outside to unwind. That's the life in the great North Woods. Hike or bike, whatever you like. Get out in the day, enjoy the night. Yeah, we got the life in the great North Woods. Yeah, we got the life in the great North Woods. Yeah, this is Northern Life.